boys and girls, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of the latest superhero film from Warner Brothers in DC, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. This is the 15th film in the DCEU and the final film in the DCEU. Yes, everybody, we can put it to bed now. It is over. The film franchise or the cinematic universe that started with Man of Steel and it went on to Batman v Superman, and you had Justice League, and you had Shazam and Black Adam and Wonder Woman 84, and so on and so forth. And the first Aquaman, which grossed $1 billion and pretty much guaranteed a sequel, and we got it just in time for Christmas. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Returning in this film, we have director James Wan, who directed the first Aquaman, and his cast. Jason Momoa reprises his role as Arthur Curry, aka Aquaman. You also have Patrick Wilson, Amber Heard, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Randall Park, Dolph Lundgren, Nicole Kidman returns, and Martin Short in a role that I didn't know it was Martin Short until the credits at the end of this film. And I was like, that was Martin Short. But this is Aquaman. But in any event, this go around, we find Arthur Curry must work with his half-brother Owen to prevent Black Manta from killing his family and using the cursed Black Trident to overheat the world while searching for the lost seventh kingdom of the seas. This film had zero, and I mean zero, fanfare. There was no like heavy promotion. I finally saw commercials for it maybe a week leading up to the release, but for the most part, if you weren't dived into the know, you wouldn't have known that this movie had came out. I think they were really just throwing it out there, and if it worked, it worked. If it didn't, it didn't. Which which kind of gave you the feeling like they don't have much faith in this film, like it was going to be bad. And in essence, that's the feeling that I had. Hence, I wasn't really excited for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Now, granted, the first Aquaman I was super excited about, and then I saw it, and I was like, man, this ain't working. It just didn't work for me. To be technical, I think I only watched that movie once. I have no desire to watch that movie again. I was that disappointed with that movie. And I guess that added to my lack of anticipation for this sequel. And for the most part, I will say this. I was all right with it. I went into it with zero expectation, which always helps. And so what I got, I accepted. It was all right. It was an all right film. It was fun. You never get bored. I will say that much. You don't get bored in this film. It is a fun ride, which is what these superhero films is supposed to be. And that mission accomplished, Now, did it have any substance? Not too much. Now, it was one storyline throughout this film that I did enjoy, and I'm going to touch in a few. But aside from that, it was just a punchy, smashy superhero action film. And look, there ain't nothing wrong with that. But before we get into the story of it, let's go over the cast here. Of course, Jason Momoa returning as Arthur Curry, Aquaman. This was one of the things, or one of the problems I had with the first film, was Jason Momoa. And I'm trying to tiptoe around this, sugar-coated, put lipstick on a pig, if you will. I love Jason Momoa. I think Jason Momoa is a very charismatic actor. He brings life to every role that he's in. He brings life to Aquaman. but this isn't the Aquaman that I grew up reading in the comics, you know? Aquaman, now, there's a lot of jokes about Aquaman. There's a lot of people that, oh, he just talks to fish. You know, I get it. But there's more to Aquaman. In case you don't know, in the comics, Aquaman is just as strong as Superman. I mean, he is that powerful. And I think the movies displayed that pretty well. So I'm not mad at that. But Jason Momoa, he brings this kind of a childish, playish vibe to the character that, you know, it was all right in the first one. It was all right, but it was kind of uneven from what we got in Justice League. You know, it was kind of a different vibe. And we got it in the first Aquaman. I accepted it. Like I said, I only watched it once, so I just took it and went with it. But you would think he would grow up some in the sequel. He didn't. He was still that childish, playish, like teenager who is rebellious in a way, you know, and it just didn't connect with me. His portrayal of the character this go around. Like I said, I like Jason Momoa, but I think one of the problems is he was miscast from the jump. I think Jason Momoa was born to play Lobo in the DC universe, but we got him in Aquaman. I mean, that's, you know, cool, whatever. But he was born to play Lobo, and honestly, me watching him in Aquaman, all I can picture is Lobo. I guess that's why I can't connect with it. He was miscast. He was miscast. I get what they were going for. You know, he's Polynesian. You know, kind of mix in that culture with the Atlanteans. I get where they were going with it. It for that element of it, it works. But it just it's something about it. Just you know, having Jason Momoa in that role didn't work. Now, I think the reason that is because it's Jason Momoa. It's really Jason Momoa running around with this orange and green suit with a trident. And that's all. That's all it is. There's nothing new there. If you seen him in interviews and stuff like of that nature, you know, just him being him, he's the same person. Now, I take for instance his performance in Fast X, and I know this is a bad example because that's a horrible movie, but I loved his performance in Fast X. There was depth to his character, you know, very enjoyable. There weren't too much depth to this portrayal of Aquaman, and not just in this movie, and in all of the films that he appeared as Aquaman in. And so, yeah, that's one of the biggest bugaboos, and probably the biggest bugaboo because he's the lead character. So there's that. Patrick Wilson, completely enjoyed Patrick Wilson as Owen, aka Ocean Master, returning from the first film as well. He was the villain in the first film, and now he is working alongside of Aquaman. And I think that was a nice kind of a swerve from the first film. And that's one of the story elements that I loved about this film, the brother relationship. You know, the fact that they're half brothers, and Arthur Curry always wanted to have a brother, always wanted to have somebody who he can connect to, and him basically trying to force Owen to have this same relationship with him. And they just had this cute little banter going about throughout the film. It's kind of a buddy cop type feel throughout the film. You know, i.e. Lethal Weapon or 48 Hours type of relationship, which was fine. And I did enjoy that aspect of it. And Patrick Wilson playing the straight man to Jason Momoa's silly comedic character. I think that element worked in this film. Our villain in this film, who also returns once again, is Black Manta, played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen. This go around, he was strictly mustache trailing villain. He was paint by numbers villain, and he kind of wasted. Kind of wasted. I was excited when um they kind of announced that he was going to be the main focal villain in this film, as opposed to the first film when he was more of a supporting character. Even though he had a major role in the first Aquaman, this go around, I dare I say, it felt less than the first film, and that's saying a lot because he wasn't the main villain in the first film. But this film, he was the main villain, and we got less of him. And I don't know, but the times that he was on screen, Yaya Abdul Mateen did an awesome job. Uh Being menacing, but it was just that. He was just menacing, giving the same look, same, expressions. He never his facial expression never changed, but he did what he could. I think the way that character was written, he did the best he could with it. Um Amber Heard, poor Amber Heard. She returns as Mara, and I think because of I don't think, I know, due to the trial, the Johnny Depp trial that she was entangled with, really put a what should I say, damper on her career. That led to Warner Brothers kind of cutting her out of this film. She had no role in this movie. Mara had no role, even to the point towards the end of the movie. Well, at the end of the movie, and I'm not spoiling the end or nothing, but when Aquaman is giving this speech and he's talking about all the people he loves, he lists everybody: his son, his brother, his mother, his father, the Atlanteans. He never mentions Mara, and she was standing right there. That's how much they cut her out of the film. She had a little part in it, but it was like you could tell that there was more, but they cut out of the movie involving her character, and it's all because of Amber Heard and that trial and all this here. It was. I felt bad for her, honestly. I really did. I felt bad for her, and it didn't hurt the movie any, but at the same time, if you watch the movie, you can tell that there's more to her in this movie that they just chose. Nah, we don't need it, and it was just distracting on so many levels. Like I said, the story, involving the Lost Kingdom and Black Manta, and I did not enjoy that part of the movie. This movie had a good idea. It just didn't work. Aside from the brother relationship that runs throughout this film with Aquaman and Owen, everything else in this film was just ran through. No development of any other character or any other motivation. It's, I would say I'm disappointed, but I'm not, because I had no expectations. But it was just like, man, you're coming off of $1 billion film. This is the sequel to a $1 billion grossing film, and they just pooed the bed on this one. It was more silly than anything. It was just too silly. I think it should have took themselves a little more seriously, and maybe it could have worked a little better. But overall, story wise, it didn't work. Now, action wise, I really enjoyed the action. They had some really, really awesome fight scenes, some really good battles, especially the battle at the end was pretty exciting. All throughout, they did not cheapen us on the action, and that's what kept me engaged throughout this film. I if it wasn't for that, this would have been a snore fest. But there was action from beginning to end. You'll never get tired of that. But overall, it was a fun time. If you want to see a movie and just watch some superhero fights and action, this is the film for you. Also, another ding on it is these visual effects. It was kind of spotty. Well, not kind of. It was spotty in parts of this film. Um, some looked great, some didn't. You know, and this movie was pushed back like 2 years. This movie was supposed to come out in 2021, I believe, and it kept getting pushed back. And through all that time, you couldn't, you know, put some little touch ups on the special effects. I don't know what happened there, but it just looked kind of choppy in parts, major parts, and they lingered on it. There was shots where they lingered on the bad visual effects. And I'm like, man, y'all need to cut away from that quick. But beside all that, yeah, there are a lot of problems with this movie, but overall, despite all that, I did enjoy myself. I thought it was all right. You know, I'm not mad at it. It is what it is. It's an Aquaman movie. Just go into it with zero expectations, and you will enjoy it. If you going in here expecting to see cameos from other DC characters, not gonna happen. There's none of that. Sorry to spoil that for you, but there are no cameos because this was the end, and, and that's that. There's no fanfare. There's no post credit scene where everybody waves goodbye and swims off into the sunset or whatever. It just ended, and that's that. So it is what it is. Aquaman in the Lost Kingdom gets a letter grade of a C. It was all right. You know, it was all right. You know, I will I watch it again? Somewhere down the line, I probably will, but no time soon. But I've seen it once. I'm happy, and that's my recommendation. Go see it. It's fun. It is a fun time in the theater. Kid you not. But just prepare if you want to be deeply enriched in characters. This ain't the film for you. But if you've seen Aquaman in the Lost Kingdom, I like to know, did you like it or did you dislike it, or were you like, meh? Please let me know by email. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also look up the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network, as well as the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube. Subscribe and like this video. Also, don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of the final DCEU film, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love everybody, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.